I've said it times above numbers that the Right Honorable Raila Amolo Odinga is a political entrepreneur. And as of the time of this broadcast, it is evidently clear that the Right Honorable Raila Amolo Odinga will be on the ballot come 2027. Though he hasn't declared yet, but rumor has it that he will be on the ballot. And speaking of the push, I chose to come up with 6 to 7 nitty-gritty points that may force Raila's candidature in the next general election. Number 1, what most people don't know is that President William Samoei Ruto and the Right Honorable Raila Amolo Odinga might have struck a deal so that President Ruto can fund Raila's political campaigns towards the next general election. Remember, I started this broadcast by stating that the Right Honorable Raila Amolo Odinga is Kenya's political entrepreneur. Remember, entrepreneurs are usually money-oriented, and you and I cannot dispute the cognizant fact that it will be next to impossible for the Right Honorable to unseat President William Samoei Ruto. And that being in Raila's mind, because he also knows it will be next to impossible to unseat President William Samoei Ruto, they might have come to a deal that as President Ruto retains his seat, then guess what happens to the Right Honorable? He smiles his way to the bank, and that shall be a done deal, he being a political entrepreneur. Number 2, if by any chance these political theatrics work, then I kid you not, Stephen Kalonzo Musyoka shall be ditching Azimio for the Kenya Kwanza side, citing reasons of the deceitfulness of the Azimio camp. That shall be a win-win situation for the Right Honorable Raila Amolo Odinga, simply because he would have already walked his way into the bank, because up to this time, believing that the Right Honorable Raila Amolo Odinga is going to hand over the mantle to Stephen Kalonzo Musyoka is more of a piped dream. Kalonzo is currently waiting for his official betrayal in the Azimio camp so that he can bolt out and join Kenya Kwanza. Simply because I don't see any other formation that if Kalonzo bolts out of Azimio is going to, if not Kenya Kwanza side. And that is to mean that shall be the end of Azimio camp. Remember, Stephen Kalonzo Musyoka's potential of occupying the highest office of the land have kept on diminishing the moment he chose to realign himself with the Right Honorable Raila Amolo Odinga. Why? Simply because he's consistently kept on playing under Raila's shadow. And of course, the Right Honorable Raila Amolo Odinga overshadowed him because of his hunger for power. Another thing that many Kenyans don't know is that many politicians have been riding on Raila's shoulders so that they can further their political careers. That is why as early as 2023, they have already begun pushing for the Right Honorable Raila Amolo Odinga to vie in the next general election. That is in regard to, irrespective of how many times the Right Honorable Raila Amolo Odinga is going to fail, they don't care. Imagine, they're slowly turning him to be a perennial loser. Another ambiguous way of articulating this could be based on the unprecedented Kenyan voters, in the context that the Kenyan voters are very funny, because they can choose to vote in President William Samoei Ruto come 2022 with an ill intention of thinking that they are voting out the Right Honorable Raila Amolo Odinga. You can imagine they are voting in President William Samoei Ruto not because of his manifesto, but because they are voting out the Right Honorable Raila Amolo Odinga. You can imagine having the Right Honorable Raila Amolo Odinga on the ballot come 2027. That will be more of a clean walkover for President William Samoei Ruto's second term. I'm honestly trying to imagine of these people to whom are pushing for a Raila candidature come 2027, simply because that is tantamount to castrating a bull. Then you force it to impregnate a cow, of which you are fully aware of its infertility. Automatically, you know that it is next to impossible for it to deliver the results. Another thing, to me, it's more of a hallucination attack if there is any Azimio supporter who still believes that the Right Honorable Raila Amolo Odinga is going to unseat President William Samoei Ruto, a man who fought against the deep state and the system and won. And if Raila dares, then I kid you not, he has a very difficult task to achieve or attend to. They say no matter how good you are as a dancer, you must always know when to leave the stage. And I strongly believe this is the right time for the Right Honorable Raila Amolo Odinga to exit the stage, and before he exits, he should hand over the mantle to a young and vibrant leader. This is because the stage is turning out to be very corrosive for him. So I strongly believe it is time for him to exit. And another thing, it will not only sound weird but also foolish to hear the slogan Baba the Sixth. Musalia left, Wetangula left, Balala left, Ruto left. He is only currently left with Stephen Kalonzo Musyoka. And based on Stephen Kalonzo Musyoka's camouflaging behavior, one thing that I'm sure of, we all don't know what Kalonzo is currently planning based on the rumor that 2027, the Right Honorable Raila Amolo Odinga might be on the ballot. Essentially, everything is very much possible in politics, and maybe such headlines were sponsored by the Kenya Kwanza regime purposely to divert attention from the high cost of living. Who knows? I also tend to think that Stephen Kalonzo Musyoka and the Right Honorable Raila Amolo Odinga may have sat and come up with an well-orchestrated plan for the next general election, but decided to sponsor such headlines so that they can confuse their enemy, and in this context, their enemy being President William Samoei Ruto, of whom his main challenger is going to be. Then few months to the general election, the Right Honorable Raila Amolo Odinga introduced Stephen Kalonzo Musyoka as a surprise candidate, like exactly what he did when he said Kibaki Tosha. And such a move is usually good simply because exposing your preferred candidate as early as 2023, then he may subject him to humiliation and political attacks. Speaking of Baba the Sixth, to me, that seems to be an idea that is currently overtaken by events, and just like Moses, the Right Honorable promised to take people to Canaan, but guess what? He and Moses maybe were not meant to see the promised land. He should just accept and hand over the mantle to someone else so that the country can move forward. Contrary to that, history shall remember the Right Honorable Raila Amolo Odinga to be a statesman to whom was greedy and selfish. But honestly, that has just been my opinion. If you do have a contrary opinion to mine, kindly do feel free to drop them in the comment section and I'll give them a right of reply. Thank you and may God bless you.